You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Got rid of my noise gate for now. I'm kind of packing things up, and I'm getting ready to move. God willing, and it'll be soon or later, one or the other. So again, whatever it is, Amarillo has shown that it's the direction to go. A couple reasons. It's drier than Tyler. However, I kept looking at it because it kept pointing at Amarillo as being drier than Lubbock. And I'm thinking, it doesn't make sense. The humidity's lower in Lubbock. But there's a couple other factors, dew points, nighttime temperatures, things such as that play into all of that, on that perception of what you're feeling, also how the mold grows. So in the evenings, it's still in the 70s in Lubbock, and it's in the 60s in Amarillo at night. So even though it gets hot in the daytime, the preceding temperatures in the morning and in the evenings and the post temperatures are cooler. So it's going to cool off sooner. It's going to remain cooler in the morning. So kind of that arid, elevated land thing. Actually, in a little while, it's going to start to dry off here in Tyler. But it's just a very moldy community. And again, those environmental sensitivities that I began to notice after the Persian Gulf, and actually a few things while I was there, had already changed. So again, it's probably a fight that we need to fight. I need to get with the senators and the Congress people, and we need to understand what the VA is doing. They have a reason. They'll tell you a reason as to why it's no longer a simple presumption. But that's actually never changed. That you go to them, you say, I have these symptoms, and then they say, okay. It's presumed that you have it. And they go, well, time has lapsed since you were in the Gulf. Well, I was surviving up until about 8 years ago. And then things changed. Now, when I went to the guy in the county in Naples, he was supposedly going to file for that, and it never showed up. But one thing he did say was, as you get older, that's going to increase. That's what we've seen with people. So, true to form, that's what's happening. And has happened. But when I got to Albuquerque to be seen by the doctors, there was no hide nor hair. Of that particular claim. And it took me years to get past the deep state to do it again. Now, they may have been the ones that messed it up to begin with also, because face it, they're operating at the CIA level, things we use against foreign governments, against U.S. citizens, just because. Of course, they'll use a CIA reasoning as to why they're doing it. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it something that they haven't caused. Surely it's not legal. Now, it's not only the CIA, there's private sector people involved, government agents of all sorts of proportions, government employees. And it's not only me. So, I do have to get out of here so I can get away from what's cramping my body up. There's like a small window that I can escape before it gets me again. What I really needed, and I don't blame the doctors. The doctors have their protocols, and I tried to convince them. I guess I didn't use the right verbiage. Who knows? And when you're sick, it's very difficult. If I had a wife, as I knew I was needing in life, then things would have been easier. The wife could have articulated, could have made phone calls, could have found somebody to give me some oral steroids or a trigger point shot until I had the epidural. When I was in Naples, my mother knew a doctor who did the epidural real quick. Then I made an appointment with sports medicine, and she brought it up. She says, well, I can give you trigger point shots. I give you shots, steroid shots in your shoulders to help calm it down. I mean, she brought it up. And I said, well, I just had a steroid. She said, that's something completely different. The epidural is something completely different. She gave it to me, and that finished me forward enough that I could travel. Now, I never got as bad as I did then, but it's not letting go as quick as it did then. And most likely because I didn't get the extra steroid, the trigger point or the oral. So in July, if I had been able to get additional steroids, because I said, look, I took a steroid 5-day pack, I got an inflammation shot, and it went away. And even when I went to the urgent care and said, I hit this nerve or something, I don't know what's going on. She said, oh, the inflammation, because I said it let go. She said, oh, the inflammation is breaking down. So she knew at that point that it was triggered by inflammation. Even though there's some other signs, the triggering point in my body is my upper back knots up and then pulls everything. But there's also cramping other places also. But it pulls that whole back crunch thing going on. So I couldn't get anybody to participate. I just was sick. I had already been sick for a few weeks. It's just difficult. At least in Florida, I had my mother. And she had a few doctors. Actually, one doctor. I found the other one. Actually, I found a bunch of doctors. And no spine doctor said anything other than a bone spur. It looked like it might have been getting close to a nerve. And that was it. No, just normal aging. Don't worry about it. And actually over here, they said the same thing until I locked up again. Then they panicked. But I tried telling them, I need trigger point shots in my upper back. You can't fight City Hall. And, like I say, I understand their protocol. I understand what they do. And maybe I didn't explain it well enough, but, when you've been sick for a month and you haven't been taking this medicine, you're just not going to articulate necessarily. So when I went into the first doctor, she was like, well, okay, just go to physical therapy. And then it triggered again. But I tried explaining to them, I was laying in bed, I woke up, my back was spasming, and my one hand was spasming from the back spasming. And I said, I think that's the trigger. And I just couldn't release it again. I couldn't get it to release. If I got my upper back to release, it would have released sooner. So the right side of my body's still tight a little bit. Not as bad as it was. But I still haven't released my right upper back completely. But I'm not getting anywhere in Tyler, Texas. Every time I make a phone call, it's just stupid. And I kind of transferred to Amarillo a little bit. So again, I'm not sure if they're understanding what I'm saying. I got to get somebody to look at my upper back and say, yes, your muscles are compressed. Because what happens is I can go to a massage therapist and she can work it out. But the last time this happened, they said, we can't work it out. You need to get something done there so we can work it out. And that was the steroid shots in the shoulders, probably, was close enough to the back to release the back. But, I mean, the epidural releases steroids steadily over a long period of time, so, I mean, that could do it, too. So I'm working on the right side of my back as we speak. It's not as easy as the left, and I'm hoping it releases completely. And I actually stretched my piriformis muscle last night, and it actually stretched. Every time before, it was just like, no. No. So I guess the steroid is starting to work. What I do, one of the things you do is you pull your knee into your chest and you pull. And I can feel the left side, boom, right into my chest. Boom, boom, nothing, no resistance. Right side, So I think the best way to have handled this originally, just to get it forward, would be 2 shots in the back, one on left around the shoulder blade, one right shoulder blade, one piriformis right, one piriformis left. I think I'd have been there quickly. Or, 15 to 30 days of oral steroids. But it is what it is. So again, it's very interesting when you look at Amarillo as to what is seen. And anybody that has stalked me over the years can look at that church and see the signs that denote me. And things that I've said and done over the last so many years, or so many decades. Love was one of those components. And of course, this more. Why do they call it More Church? But again, if you look at that Third Day song, it's in there too. More comes up, and love comes up a lot of different places in Christian music and in Christianity and in the Bible too. So things are kind of working forward. I mean, I made a lot of phone calls, and they kind of went nowhere except for VetStar in Amarillo. Okay, hopefully they don't get attacked by the deep state now. But VetStar in Amarillo is amazing. I mean, I might not get anywhere in the end because we're dealing with the VA. But it's just amazing. This guy's like, okay, do this. I do it. It worked. So again, she said, go to the Texas Vet Commission and get started there. They did my extension. They did the COVID-19 extension. Waiting on something back from that. She's like, get back with me. Now, the state is good because they'll do whatever you ask them. I need this, do this. Okay. And they do it. I mean, it's great stuff. But it's not like your advocate. And that's what he would say. He'd say, look, I don't care how much money you make in retirement. I don't care who you are. The VA system is there for you. They're not allowed to shortchange you. You shouldn't feel like you shouldn't force an issue. You should never stop. And that's the problem. You don't have somebody representing you because you get sick, you get tired, and you can't navigate a system that you probably don't understand anyway, even if you think you understand it. They just don't feel bad. Nobody understands it except for the people that work in places like this. It's designed to confuse you, for you to get lost in it. So I said, well, I thought they had my medical records, my military records. He said, no, they only had your VA records. The guy that you spoke to confused you. So again, I do still have a complaint, and I've been sick, and that's the point. Most people dealing with the VA have been sick, and you have all these people out there, but we can't get to them. So what should happen is this. As soon as I file a claim with the VA, I get phone calls, automatic phone calls from the support network of advocates. That's what has to happen. Now, remember, I went to the VA twice before, saw 3 separate doctors, and they were normal people. The doctor I saw in Oklahoma is pretty much a piece of work. Garbage. Doesn't belong there whatsoever. Don't know if he's deep state or just an idiot. However, he's one or the other. And a jerk idiot. I already made a complaint about him. That's where it really got messy to begin with. Then I call the only other VA person. I mean, there's operators that took care of business for me, but the only specific person assigned to my case that I had interaction with, and I tell him about my military hospitalization and military record and da-da-da. He tells me, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to stop your claim right now to get your records. Because then it's going to stop all that. It made no sense that he told me that. The VA actually scumbagged my case. And I was taking that up with the senator, but meanwhile, the deep state's deep stating my life. Not allowing me to have the freedom to do what I need to do. No matter what their reasoning is. There's all fabrications, lies, adulterations, psychological warfare, psychological torture, and everything else. God is not mocked. This nation continues to degrade no matter what the quote-unquote economic recovery is supposedly that we're seeing. It just meant that the economy started. It wasn't even a real economic shutdown to begin with. But there's people out there who still don't believe COVID's real. Some guy calls me and he's like a 92-year-old Marine, or actually 72 or something. He was a service officer from the local Legion or VFW or whatever it was. I honored his, desire to help me. And, but he doesn't believe COVID-19 is real at all. I mean, it's insane. Has it minimized its ability to do what it did initially? I believe that. That's just natural for coronaviruses. But if it gets you, it gets you. And it isn't the same as the flu, even though it's similar to the flu. Because I tracked flus for many years. I mean, God had me track the flus. Had me walk around Santa Fe, say, hey, make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're using hand sanitizer. The flu's here. I used to do that every year in Santa Fe. But meanwhile, I'm tracking the flu, and I'm looking who it's taking. Very rarely does it take somebody in good health. Oh, no. If they take them, they're in bad health. Not all the time. So, remember, Congressman Gomer, he had the malaria drug, but he also had a steroid pack. That's an important part of this. If they see certain things going on in your life, you get a steroid pack when you come down with COVID. That's so your body doesn't kill you. Your immune response. People with great health have great immune responses, and it was killing them. And it still can. So again, we have Hollywood superstars that got sick and died. And they're not living unhealthy lives. And they're not unhealthy. The flu generally took unhealthy people and people from places that were unhealthy, that didn't have the vitamin support. Now, that can't always save you. You can't just vitamin away. I think I've been lucky and blessed. I took a lot of different vitamins and things through this. Some of this inflammation, although I think it's Desert Storm related, could have been because I had COVID and it increased the inflammation. It's like a double whammy trigger. But the thing that the VA is essentially saying is that I should have came in 2000 while I was still somewhat healthy and said, hey, I have environmental sensitivities from Desert Storm. Or not that. My ex-wife actually brought it up when I was in an emergency room in Frankfurt, Philadelphia, Frankfurt Hospital. She told him, said, you know, I'm noticing differences in his health after Desert Storm. Eventually, he never got sick like this. So, the lieutenant that drove me to the hospital is actually still online. I don't know if his website's accurate or not, but he's there. I found his website again. He's a great guy. He was so mad. They didn't want to give me a medal. And I think it was because I got medevaced. This is the weird part. Because he was so mad. I mean, I got done dirty in the military too, but when you're younger, you don't really care as much. And I really didn't care in the government either until they got really CIA serious. But they wouldn't give me a medal. And I'm telling you, I never stopped. When I was in the military, I mean, I never stopped the Mars service until I was like half dead in the last few years. But I never stopped. And I did so much work. I mean, other people sleeping, and I was like there in that cupula of that track. Day in and day out. I think it was like 3 days later I slept or something. And then like, I think we stopped. And I laid down. Like I came out of the cupula, laid down. They say, no, it's like hours later and people are yelling and there's all sorts of stuff going on. We're taking prisoners. And I'm like, whoa. I gotta get back up. But essentially, they had asked me, I mean, they selected me because I was this sapper guy. I said, go back to Saudi Arabia, build us a stand-down point. We'll give you a couple commo guys. All right. I just came off of missions where everybody's smoking and joking, and I'm running through bunkers, going through these bunkers looking for anything we need to blow up and all this, and then I get the troops and say, okay, you go there, you get that, and then we blow the stuff up. But I mean, it was at that point nobody really wanted to do anything. I'm running through bunkers, doing all sorts of stuff. Went through buildings. So, and we were up in Iraq at that point, and they said, "Okay, go to the rear and do this." I mean, it's not something I wanted to do. I'm like, "What?" But you got to do what they tell you. Now, the unit was supposed to follow me, like a few days later. So I'm the only guy down there actually staking out the stand-down point for vehicles. I got it all set up, completely set up. To stand down and, vehicle pulling here for like okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. I mean, I'm making the whole thing go. Just waiting for the vehicles to come. Week later, no vehicles. 2 weeks later, no vehicles. Oh, at night, daytime we go out and do that mission. We were doing that mission. Then at night we go back to the ceasefire talk tent, whatever that thing was. under that east-west highway, and we'd sit there and pull security at night. So so I go back to Saudi Arabia, and all of a sudden I'm getting sicker, and everybody's I'm getting sicker. I'm getting sicker. I can't hold it. I got dysentery, all sorts of stuff. So, lieutenant comes down and says, "Okay, I'm going to take the comma guys back north. They need to do work up there." He said, "But I got to take you to the hospital. I can't leave you here because you're going to be alone. So I'm going to medevac you to the aid station." We go over there. Guy's got 10, 20, I don't remember the number, brand new ambulances. Vietnam vet chief. He looks like he's got to go to the hospital. Take him to the hospital. Where's the hospital? So he gives us directions to the hospital. Instead of saying, okay, put him in the ambulance, we'll drive him to the hospital. We're driving down the road in this dump truck. I'm like, stop! I get out. I got to drop trowel, I guess they call it. I got dysentery. And I'm beginning to become, from what I can tell, delusional. The last thing I remember, we pull over, I'm sitting over by the tire, and I'm squatting, and here comes this female chief, and we're like, where's the hospital? She's like, okay, go up there, you're almost there, another, mile and a half, go up this way, you'll hit a hard pack road, and you make a right or whatever. So we get there, we're like, oh, we're glad you got him here, he looks like he's about ready to go out. You saved his life. I mean, that's where it was. I was at that point where if they hadn't have brought me in, I'd have probably expired. And they gave it some general diagnosis and put me, pretty much drugged me up for a week and hit me with IVs and antibiotics and then whatever else they did.